It's finally here, the last part of Resident Evil 5 Professional Mode, Desperate Escape. Now, you need to know who you're going to play as, because it's very important for various points in the DLC. So right at the start here, make sure that whoever you're playing as has the first aid spray, because otherwise your AI is going to waste it the moment you get tagged by something, and trust me, you will get tagged by something. There's usually a green herb right there, at that corner that I just passed, but I'm going to give you guys a wonderful piece of advice right now. If you get base Magini in this first part, restart. Exit out of the DLC and come back in. Trust me. This DLC is already hard enough with all the enemies and all of that flying around everywhere that if you have base Magini, it's going to make it nearly impossible because the stun rods in this difficulty have way too much range for their own good. And it's possible. I know. I've done it. But it's way too frustrating to do it that way than to just keep restarting until you get Town Magini. It'll be a lot easier because they're a lot slower and they're less rage-inducing. But the items in this DLC, like in Lost in Nightmares, are random. So as you can see, I went up the ladder on the right side first, because usually that's where I find the key. But this time I found a bunch of flash grenades in there. So because of that, normally if you don't get flash grenades, you have to use an insta-kill melee, like a head grab or a suplex on that guy. I came so close to death there. Like, anybody of you who saw the death reel that I uploaded like a week ago or something like that know just how bullshit this DLC is, because there are so many ways you can die. I had more retakes in this one level than I literally had every single other level in the game combined, including Lost in Nightmares. But it turned out that the key was in this one, and I hate getting stuck in this room, because even with Town Magini, like, I came so close to death right there too, because the machetes have way too much range. And you get stuck, and you get cornered in this little room. Now, if I wasn't recording this for an audience, earlier where the flash grenades were, I would just camp there, and I would snipe everyone out with my machine gun and kill everyone before they could get to me. Now, right here, as you can see, I am going to use the hell out of the restart trick, because in Desperate Escape, it despawns enemies. So as you can see, I was being chased by like 5 or 6 guys there, and after restarting, they're all gone. I'm going to abuse the hell out of this in this DLC, because it makes so many parts so much easier. Because if I didn't make that restart there, Josh would have to fight off like 5 or 6 guys. Not that it would matter, because he's the AI player and they usually don't go after him anyway. But if you're playing this in co-op, you pretty much need to do that unless you feel like getting overwhelmed. Yeah, it's kind of a cheaty thing, and honestly, you know, I admit it's kind of overpowered and ridiculous to do that, but it's just so worth it to do it. Oh man, these 2 dynamite guys, I hate these guys. They kept killing me every time I tried to do this, and even then, Josh still got tagged by them. Josh, come on, man. Keep it together. The other reason I use the restart trick is because it also resets your dying timer. You get 5 seconds in Lost in Nightmares and Desperate Escape instead of the 3 seconds, which is a godsend. Honestly, like, those 2 extra seconds make it so much easier. But at the same time, it still sucks because there are like a million different enemies trying to kill you. I like the DLC when I'm playing it on normal or even veteran, but playing it on professional mode is just a nightmare. So as you come out of this little building here, there's going to be a big man Magini here. Make sure that you wombo combo him so that he can get supremely owned, but this time Josh didn't want to run in there and give him a nice good old punch to the face, unfortunately. There's another one about halfway down this little slope. I'm going to get him later, and I'll wombo combo him as well. Also, shoot those oil barrels. I have so many runs ended by those barrels, it's stupid. I think there's a good one in my my death reel that I posted, where I just kind of like an idiot, I just walked right into it. And that wasn't the only time that happened too. The clip that I posted of that was only the first time I walked into it. The actual clip, I walked into that fire like 4 times in a row. It was hilarious, but I had to cut the run short because I didn't want to post that. It's like the run was going pretty good, and it's like, yeah, I'm probably not going to keep this, so I'll try again later. I came so close to death there too. I should have just dodged instead of trying to shoot him down. But there you go. There's the Wombo combo. Tier 3 melees. Works out real nicely. So if you have Town Magini, you will have 2 Chainsaw Magini. If you have Base Magini, you get a Gatling Gun Magini. I honestly don't know which one is easier, but I know that for the first part, you want Town Magini. But this Gatling Gun guy, because I found a rifle earlier, what we can do is... Oh, wait, never mind. It's Chainsaw Magini. What am I doing? If you get a Gatling Gun Magini, that little truck right there, that was to my left, just stand behind that and just shoot him. If you stagger him, you can run in for your most powerful melees, your cartwheel kick, and your... I think it's... What is it for Josh? It's his dynamite kick. Those are really powerful, and it's actually easier to beat the Gatling Gun Magini, but the Chainsaw Magini are just as easy. A point-blank M3 shot will usually take them down, or will stagger them, and then you can run in for whatever melees you want. Unfortunately, I didn't get the stun that time, so got a little panicky. This entire DLC is just filled with a ton of, like, really panicky moments on professional mode. It's like, oh god, no! There are enemies everywhere! Run, 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 run! You don't need to shoot them after they're dead. I just do it because, you know, why not? And this is really weird. Like, normally the key is supposed to drop, like, where the chainsaw dude or Gatling gun guy dies. And yet, for some reason, it's all the way over there. Like, what is that nonsense? But regardless, that's the first part of the DLC done. Thank goodness. I've had so many runs ending that first part because I kept on getting Base Magini that I eventually just said screw it, and I just kept resetting for Town Magini, made it a lot easier. This is a bit of an interim here. It's also a checkpoint, so if you need to do any inventory management, do it now, because you're not going to have enough time to do it after the cutscene starts. So this is something I wish I knew when I first played through this campaign. If you come over here to the left, there's a safe with 2 first aid sprays. And those are always 2 first aid sprays. Like the first few times I ran through this DLC, I ran through it pretty much with only a green herb that you see right here, and the first aid spray that you get in Josh's inventory, and 1 in the end. That's it. I didn't know about all the other safes, so thank goodness I experimented a little bit and found those first aid sprays. It definitely made the run through so much easier. Of course, it still causes inventory problems later on. This right here is the moment of true terror, because I have Base Magini, and what that means is that I'm going to have 2 riot shield guys that come up the stairs right here. I could have died there very easily. That guy, if this was any other day, he would have tagged both me and Josh, or at least Josh, and I would have had to revive him, waste a few first aid sprays. I could have died right there too. It's like, oh man, this is so tense. I was so scared. Thankfully, Josh got the other one, so I didn't have to worry about him. But after that head grab, there was joy. This part seems really scary, but the only way that the turrets can hit or hurt you is if they manage to score a direct hit. And normally this doesn't happen as often as it really should, but you know, I'm happy that 9 times out of 10 if you get hit by the rocket and you get sent flying, it doesn't kill you. Make sure you get those 2 guys. Trust me. Because if you're climbing up the ladder on that side and that guy, if he's a Town Magini, he will shoot you by the time you get up there. And 9 times out of 10, Josh will not have enough time in order to get you. Now, because I have Base Magini, I have a Reaper here. But the problem is that I'm used to him spawning in front of me, and this time he spawned behind me. And that's the first time that ever happened in a run. So I was like, oh crap, he's right behind me. So I decided to run up here a little bit and try to get to this team door before anything bad happens. If Josh, for whatever reason, isn't next to you when you make it here, get rid of that turret, and he should be right behind you. If you're doing this with Town Magini, there will be an Executioner there instead. But it really doesn't matter either way, because right as soon as you blow up the door with this turret, you're going to get a checkpoint. And I always, 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 always take a reset here. Because this will get rid of that Reaper or Executioner, and it will make them go back to their default position back at the first ladder that we jumped down to get over here. So because of that, we can basically just gun it right back over there. If you get a Reaper, though, it is worthwhile to take a few pot shots at it to stun it. And I'm really fortunate that this happened. I somehow got stupidly lucky, and you may have heard it, but the rocket somehow managed to get a direct impact against the Reaper and kill him. Which is great for me, but at the same time, it really doesn't matter, because in about 30 seconds, we're going to get another checkpoint, and then that Reaper would just be gone anyway. So, you don't need to kill the Reaper and or Executioner, depending on what you have. But if you do happen to get the kill, you know, good for you. But otherwise, yeah, this is a really tense moment right here, because I'm like, oh no, please don't explode dynamite, no. Now, I'm about to make a really big mistake. There's a base machine right behind me that Josh gets hit by. And after I heal him, I decide, you know what, I'm going to Leroy Jenkins this, and I'm going to go for the team door. This is a dumb move. I really should have killed that base machine. Because, did you see that? I came so close to dying there, it was insane. Reset again. There's a crossbow guy or a Molotov dude, depending on if you have base machine or town machine. And if it's a crossbow dude, he has hit me more times than a lot of things in this DLC. He gets me so often. Same thing with this Reaper, like, he spawned on the right side this time. I'm not used to that. I'm used to him spawning over on the left side near the bridge. So, I don't know what I did differently to make them spawn that way, but they're not supposed to be there. After getting rid of that first door, you kind of want to camp out up here, because the big man Majinis and whatever boss Majini that you have won't come up after you if you're up in this room, so this is a good time to do a bit of inventory management if you need to do it. Of course, at the same time, you know, I'm looking at this like an idiot, because I'm like, wait a minute, why is the door already broken? Because I, like, shot at it, and then I forgot for somehow, and then I was like, oh, okay, well, I guess it's already, I guess I better move on. This is another really scary part right here, because if there's a guy up in that rocket turret, he may shoot you, and something that doesn't happen to me in this recording is that, if you're near the edges and you get hit by the rocket turret, you'll actually be hanging on for dear life, kind of like Sheva in 6-3, and you have to button mash your way up out of it. Your partner can save you, but 9 times out of 10, he usually gets stuck too. There's a safe right there as well. It can either be a Magnum, or it can be a first aid spray. Usually it's a Magnum, or if you don't have a Magnum, it's a first aid spray. If you do have a Magnum, or if you don't have a Magnum, it's usually a Magnum. I take a really cheeky hit here, you know, very frustrated at that, very shouty as you can imagine. But I learned to deal with it because I know that there's a first aid spray coming up pretty soon. And even if I do get hit there, you know, whatever, I'll just be able to heal it later. That was really scary right there, because if I had gotten hit in pretty much any other direction, I would have gotten sent flying off to my death. Would have been even worse if I had gotten hit directly. Here's another checkpoint right here. Reset, as normal. Now you're going to get another boss Majini coming up. But first, you need to make sure that if you have a rifle at this point, shoot these 2 rocket guys back here. Like, pretty much the entire strategy I have for this DLC pretty much revolves around 2 things. 1, you get Town Majini at the start. 2, you get a rifle in the first section. Because otherwise, the second section is going to be a nightmare. Get pretty lucky with that Magnum shot there. You know, if you have anything else, you know, you can still do it really easily, but the Magnum just makes such quick work of those Reapers. Now this section can also be very intimidating because there's a big man Majini. I don't know why he's not there. There's a big man Majini supposed to be in this tent, and you can see him in my fail video, so I know I'm not making this up. There's a big man Majini in this tent normally, and I don't know why it is, but every time I get preemptively punched by him, and I die, because there's nothing I can do about it. There's a first aid spray in this tent as well, alongside all the ammo. Pick up whatever you can, but do not stay in this room for long, because otherwise you're going to probably get tagged by stun rod or some bullshit like that with a shield. Make sure you pick up the first aid spray. Do not waste it, or do not give it to Josh, because if you do, he'll use it on myself. This is one of the reasons why I picked Jill over Josh, because I want control over this particular section. If you're doing this as Josh, Jill probably won't get hit, but you'll have to wait a lot longer than if you just do it yourself. And honestly, it's not that bad doing it yourself anyway, because you can just run past everyone. So I make a beeline straight to this door, unlock it. Josh is giving me some cover, thankfully. You know, he's actually doing his job. Turn around, because there are going to be 2 big man Majinis that you need to wombo combo before they actually get to you, because otherwise they'll hit you with a pitchfork and they'll instantly kill you, and it's bullshit. You really need to know how to wombo combo those guys if you want to make sure that you want to get through this DLC very painlessly. Otherwise, you're going to be stuck in a lot of instances because you're going to be sitting there trying to melee them and nothing's happening. I really should have gotten the cartwheel kick on that last dude, but I came really close to dying. Very angry at that as well, but I really wish I had done that section a little bit better, but I still managed to survive, and that's all I care about at this point. The cutscene that you saw there only triggers when Josh is all the way over there in that bridge sequence, so while Josh is running over there, run your ass over to the door that you need to come to afterwards, and then go in. Huh. Now that that nightmare sequence is over, I'm going to speed up this preparation phase. There's a lot of ammo and a lot of grenades scattered around this little area, so pick up exactly what you need and don't bother with anything else. There's a first aid spray that I picked up earlier. Try to save those, and if you're at full health like me, keep one for yourself, give one to Josh, make sure that it's even. That way, if one of you gets tagged, you have the ability to heal yourself so that you can take another hit right away instead of having to worry about the resuscitation timer being a problem. If you have a shotgun, give that to Josh. If you have a rifle, keep it for yourself. You want the machine gun and the rifle, give Josh the pistol and the shotgun. If you have a Magnum, try to save it as much as you can, because this last part is bullshit. As you can see here, I'm still trying to, organize all my stuff because there's a proxy bomb in my inventory that, is just making things just awful. Now, make sure you equip your flash grenades before this part. Right at the start, toss a flash grenade, go all the way over to the left side, climb up, and from here, you're basically going to camp out for the rest of the DLC. It's a good position, but this part sucks. As you can see, I have base machining. I came really close to dying there, but, I survived. I'm going to tell you this right now, guys. You are going to die here a few times when you do this for yourself, because this part blows. I say that about all the parts of this DLC. Like, this DLC is really fun, but there's a lot of things that... There's a lot of times where you will die through no fault of your own. Like, if you watch the fail video as well, there were so many times that I got blindsided by things that I just couldn't see. At 4 minutes and 10 seconds, you're going to have your first boss. Since I have base machining, I have a red executioner I have to fight. If you have town machining in this part, you're going to fight a Gatling gun machining. Once again, base machining is going to be easier because, well, you're going to have to fight easier bosses. I would much rather take the Reapers and the Executioners, because at least with the Reapers you can one-shot them if you have a Magnum, and even with the rifle it's a pretty much a 2-3 shot kill if you hit them in the chest and then their weak spots. The Executioners may have more health, but I'd rather take them than the Gatling gun guys who can snipe you out from halfway across the map, and it's bullshit. Now, something to keep in mind as well, if you're doing this in co-op, here's what you do, and here's a really great strategy that I learned while doing this with a buddy of mine. If you're playing as Jill, that ladder that I'm looking at right now, stand in front of it and just knife the entire time. The other person will take the machine gun and cover you the entire way. By doing this, you effectively cut off almost all points of entry that they can get you from. And it makes it so much easier to protect this position if you know where all of them can come from. That ladder is one of them, and plus you'll save ammo because you're not shooting anything, you're knifing everything, and plus, if for whatever reason you want to increase your knife usage, there you go, that's how you do it. And actually have it be practical instead of just like stabbing crates. But otherwise, this part can be very annoying because I've had runs where I die in the first 20 seconds, and I've had runs where I would make it through by the skin of my teeth. And I've also had other runs that are ridiculously good, and had no problems, and I went in with 4 healing items, didn't have to use any of them. What I'm trying to tell you by saying all of this is that this last part is completely bullshit, and it's luck-based sometimes. Sometimes, as you can see here, like, the enemies are being really nice, there aren't too many of them, they're only coming down, like, maybe one at a time, so Josh and I can focus on both of them at once, but sometimes you just get flooded with, like, 5 or 6 guys, and there's nothing you can do about it, and you just get hit by a bullshit stun rod, or someone fires a crossbow bolt somewhere, and you just get hit, and you die. I'm not saying that to be mean or harsh to the game, I'm saying it because that's just what happens sometimes. There you go. There's another Magnum shot to a Reaper. It's so great because one shot kills them. Unfortunately, something that I've noticed in this DLC is that Josh really likes to get in front of my shots. Like, I'm trying to shoot someone all the way off the other side of the map, and Josh is standing there in front of me. It's like, I can't see where I'm shooting the Reapers. And the game expects me to make a shot of faith, like, every time I find a boss. Like, pretty much every little thing that you didn't like about Resident Evil 5, playing this on professional mode by yourself, it gets multiplied by like 10 when you play it on this level. It's so silly. And yet I still like this game in this DLC. I think it's fun, but there are a lot of things that I don't like about it. And I'll cover that more when we actually finish this. But this is another reason I like to play as Jill. Like I said, you get more invincibility. You get more invincibility frames with Jill's melees than with Josh's. So if you like to do stuff like head grabs, you'll get like 3 or 4 seconds of invincibility with the head grab. Suplex with Josh only gives you like maybe 2.5, I think. I've never actually timed it, but I know that the head grab takes longer. So if you want to be safe just a little bit more, that's the way to do it. When the timer resets, be careful because there's going to be another Reaper that comes down. You need to have your Magnum ready to shoot him. Thankfully, they make such loud noises that it's incredibly easy to actually hear them and get them out of there. Also, don't pick up the score stars from the bosses. I do because, you know, they're points and I like seeing the number go up. You don't need them, so don't bother with them. Odds are you're probably going to get hit trying to get them, so if you're just trying to beat this on professional mode, do not bother getting them, because you're not going to need them. I only have 2 minutes left to go. I'm really stressed out at this point because it's like, okay, I've already survived like a good 5 minutes. I really don't want to die now because if I die now, I'm going to lose 5 minutes of good video. And, you know, this can go wrong so fast. And over the course of 7.5 minutes that you have to survive, something is going to go wrong. It's one of those instances where it's not hard, but if one little thing goes wrong over the course of this period of time, you will die, and you will have to restart all over again from the first time limit with no checkpoint in between. And with something that's as bullshit as this, yeah, see, like, look at that. I came so close to dying there. Honestly, if I'm being serious right now, I should have died there. That guy should have killed both me and Josh with one swipe, and that would have been it. But I somehow managed to survive, and I lived to survive the rest of this attempt. With only a minute left after that brief moment with death, I was like, okay, I cannot possibly die now. You know, I cannot mess this up. Because otherwise, this entire take is for nothing, and I've had a couple close calls already. I really don't want to make it closer than it already is. This left side over here is a death wish. If you get stuck over here, you're gonna die, because you don't have enough room in order to fight all the enemies if they swarm you, unlike on this side, where you have a lot more room to maneuver around them if they get in front of you. Something that I've noticed is that, one of the biggest dangers in this DLC, actually, is something that arises in the PC exclusive mode, No Mercy, is that because there's so many enemies running around, the enemies themselves pose more of a threat than their actual attacks, because their bodies get in the way. And it sucks. I'm glad that I got the double wombo combo there, because, you know, that was just a fantastic finish to an absolutely brutal DLC. Guys, this DLC sucks to do it on professional mode. It's fun as hell when you play it through on normal and veteran, and even on amateur, but dear lord does it suck in the harder difficulties. And I know that I said in the Lost in Nightmares video that this and Lost in Nightmares weren't going to be S-rank videos, but I got an S-rank here, so I was pretty proud of myself. So I was like, yeah, you know what? I'm just going to keep that. There's a lot of death that you did not see because I only uploaded the successful run. That survival sequence sucks, and I know that I've been ranting this entire time about how much this DLC sucks on professional mode, but it really does suck. Like, it's brutal, and you might come into this video with the wrong impression that I hate this game and I hate everything about this DLC, and you know, there are a lot of parts that really do suck, but trust me, when you're playing this on a lower difficulty, it's really fun. But when you play this through on professional mode, all the enemies are just way too fast. You You know, I actually kind of wish that they nerfed all the enemies to be like what they would be on Veteran, because that's just so much more fair to the player. But otherwise, there's your achievement, Run the Gauntlet. Have a nice day.